My girlfriend is ignoring me because I told her how we deal with pests on a farm. Is this a justifiable reaction? I, 19 years old male, had a discussion with my girlfriend, 19 years old female, about my family's farm. My family and I live in the United Kingdom, but my extended family own a farm back in northern India. I frequently go back and work on the farm and have done throughout my whole life. So we were talking about how it works and whatnot. It's a non-slaughter farm, so we only produce eggs, milk, fruits, veg, etc. The topic eventually got to the wild animals in the area and how they're dealt with. I told her about all the wild animals. Elephants rarely appear, but they are relatively friendly, and if caught early are easily deterred. Tigers are terrifying, but the chance to see one is 0.1%. But if one is seen, it'll first be deterred with loud drums, shouting, etc. It normally works and nobody has ever had to shoot a tiger. Leopards are rare but more common. You might see say 10 a year. Cobras almost never, but monkeys are the biggest problem by miles. The thing with monkeys is that they are simply far smarter than most animals, and what really makes it bad is that they are inherently mischievous and aggressive. They also live in groups of 15-30, sometimes even merging to create bigger groups. Monkeys can devastate a farm, and they have done previously by plowing through vegetables and fruit. As I mentioned before, they are also aggressive, so they have killed animals on the farm before. They mostly target puppies, goats, and chickens. Everything has been tried with monkeys. Chili doesn't work. Vinegar-soaked rags doesn't work. Our dogs deter them, yes, but it doesn't stop them from entering. They are smart enough to know a dog won't get them instantly, so they know they can sneak in and take what they can get. And if they do almost get caught, they don't care, they will do it again. So ultimately, we've got a shoot-on-sight policy for monkeys on the farm, which is unfortunate but has to be done. My girlfriend seemed troubled by this even with the explanation and proceeded to ask me how we do it. I told her that my brothers, cousins, uncles, and I would patrol the farmland on horseback or just on foot with hunting rifles and 2-3 of our dogs. If we see a monkey, whoever has the best shot to the head, to make it as painless as possible, will take the shot. As soon as this shot is fired, the dogs will run to finish it off if we didn't hit a clean shot. My girlfriend said I'm a heartless human as I don't seem to feel any remorse, and how could I do that to a cute monkey? I did feel remorse when I was 14-15, but now I more just view it as our duty. I don't feel guilty after I take a shot, as I know I'm not doing it with the intention to make it suffer. I asked her if she feels bad for coyotes too, foxes, wolves, and she said no, they're predators anyway. This sparked an argument as I found that majorly hypocritical. So just because something eats fruit, it can't be a danger to farms and livestock? She's now not speaking to me and thinks the policy is cruel, and I should message her when I come to my senses. I really don't see the big deal. I'm not even mad at her anymore. I just see it as a silly disagreement, and I've tried messaging her and calling her, and she just reads them or lets them ring out. It's been 2 days. Is this just a clear show of immaturity? Could there be an underlying cause to this? Because there's no way she's this upset over monkeys. I'd like to hear other people's opinions on this, as I know as I've grown up doing this, I view it as normal, so may have a biased view, whereas someone that hasn't worked on a farm might see it differently. Sounds like she's just not understanding the realities of farm life. My guess is she lives in a place where they're rare and special, so that's how she sees them, and doesn't get that they're not rare and special where your farm is. They're pests. Is she just completely ignoring the fact the monkeys attack the animals on the farm? Why do the monkeys matter more than the other animals that are being killed? It's not like y'all were deliberately shooting monkeys for fun. I do think this is an immature view for your girlfriend to have. And the silent treatment for 2 days over a disagreement about pest control? Let her go. I don't think she's mature enough to handle a relationship. I didn't meet up with partner on vacation, and now he wants to break up over it. We've had a bit of a whirlwind romance, met at a conference, and he moved over 100 miles to my city to be near me a few months ago, so we could spend time together. He has no kids and is not currently working, lives off inheritance. I have one son aged 7. He is pretty intense, wants to talk and see each other every day, talks about the future, moving in, marriage, babies, etc. And I do believe he genuinely loves me and I love him, although our 8-month relationship has had its ups and downs, mainly over one: communication. He wants to be able to call me whenever, and I am quite busy a lot, and don't enjoy talking on the phone so much, and I'm more of a texter. He says I'm unreliable. He doesn't use WhatsApp or text as he hates it, though I prefer these. And 2. The fact I haven't introduced him to my son, as we have had some arguments over communication, and because he gets insecure, and has broken up with me once and threatened breakups at other times. And also my son was quite affected by my split with his dad, so I wanted to take that part of things slow. I probably spend every weekday with my boyfriend though, as I work from home and he comes over. We have had overnights, etc. I thought we were doing okay, TBH. I had the chance to go on a 5-day vacation here in the US with my mother, who lives overseas. This is something I have done with my mother and son since he was a baby. Boyfriend had booked to go see a friend in another state the same week. But the day after I arrived to meet my mom, boyfriend called saying he was coming with his friend to where we were and he'd like to meet up. I felt bad about taking time away from my mom and we had some plans, but I didn't say no. I said I'd think about it. Over the next couple of days, boyfriend unraveled a bit because I was only texting, not calling him, and I didn't think meeting up would work out. He ended up getting very upset and ghosting me for 2 days. Since then he has said he is now not sure about our relationship and wants space. Despite knowing since early on that I have been away with my mom and son maybe every 2 years, he is now saying he would feel excluded if his partner ever went on vacation without him. And he doesn't want someone who prizes independence so much. When I said he previously said my independence was something he really liked about me, he said he just ate what I wanted to hear. He also wouldn't be okay if I wanted to do something with my son without him in future. He also wants someone who he can call any time of the day or night, and they will answer, even though I have a job with a lot of meetings, and a kid I have main custody of. I felt like I had done something terrible by not saying yes to meeting up on my vacation, or by only calling 2 days out of 4. Last time I went on a trip with my mom at Christmas, he showed up spontaneously to take me away for a night, and I left my son with her and felt guilty about missing that time with them both. I guess I didn't want to repeat that. He is now threatening to break up and says he doesn't know how he feels and may leave me our city. I am so upset and feel guilty. I previously thought it was normal to sometimes see family separately. I wasn't trying to exclude or reject him, I just wanted that time with my mom and son. He swears he is not controlling, but I thought it was okay to do stuff apart at times and to communicate in a way that works for both of you. Who is in the wrong here? Any opinions gratefully received, as I am so exhausted from apologizing and begging the last few days. He's acting like he could care less when just over a week ago he called me the love of his life. This is such a new relationship with a million red flags, and even if it's innocent, your differences in communication preferences are enough of an incompatibility to end it. Do not bring this man into your child's life, he is a danger. I feel depressed that so many women post with this behavior and don't realize it's controlling. Break it off and don't look back. Don't screw over my elderly parents. In 2004, I came home from college to find my parents' driveway ripped up and unusable. My mother was in tears because the contractor had just informed her that the price of the project had doubled from the original quote without providing a reason why. My parents, who were both teachers in a difficult city in a poor state, had reached upper middle class status through careful investments and savings. They lived in a nice neighborhood in the city, and contractors often assumed they were wealthy and tried to overcharge them. My parents were retired and on a fixed income, so they had prepared and budgeted carefully for projects like this. The particular contractor working on their driveway went out of his way to make the situation a disaster. My parents, both 70 years old with mobility issues, were essentially trapped in their home for 2 weeks due to the construction. The contractor had stopped work until he received full payment, even though my parents had already paid half of the original quote. When I arrived home, I immediately contacted the contractor, using legal terms and accusing them of breaching their contract. I made it clear that I had knowledge of contract law due to a class I had taken that semester. The contractor quickly agreed to prioritize the job and finished it the next morning with a full crew without asking for additional payment. The contractor later dropped off a check for $1,000, citing accounting errors, and left extra supplies that he had overcharged for. This allowed us to build a ramp when my father needed to transition from a walker to a wheelchair. The experience made me feel like I had finally been able to give back to my parents after they had sacrificed so much for me. The lesson learned from this experience is to not take advantage of the elderly and to value education, as it can be a powerful tool for protection and advocacy. You're a good kid. Hug your parents from me. They did an amazing job. They had faced many challenges and worked hard to support your studies, and it had paid back in spades. Very bad pun intended. Nothing petty about this. It was righteous. Would I be the antagonist if I told my friend she can't bring her offensive boyfriend to my birthday gathering? My friend Katie and I have been friends for over 20 years. Katie's boyfriend Steve has been in the picture for about 8 years. I have only hung out with Steve once in those 8 years, and that one time was enough to last me a lifetime. Low intelligence, says offensive things, and is too dumb to realize what he is saying is offensive or irrelevant to the conversation. Steve does not leave his home except to go to the gas station or work. He has not gone out to a public place for over 12 years. This seems to work for her. Everyone has different relationships, and I try not judge, but I can't wrap my head around this guy or their relationship. Not my circus, not my monkey, and she seems content. My birthday is in a few weeks. We are going on a brewery crawl, and my husband rented a party bus. We have about 20 people attending. The plan is to hit some breweries and then come back to our house. Easy stuff. Katie has expressed to me that Steve told her he wanted to join. She told me this would be great practice for him to be out in a public setting and to try and socialize with people he doesn't know and to see how well he does out in public. I told her maybe that would be a shock to the system for the guy since we all knew each other and he didn't know anyone. I suggested that he try a restaurant first or a bar since, again, he has not gone out in public for 12 years. She then broke down crying, saying she will be the only one there without her significant other, and how much this would mean to her, and how proud she was of him to make this step in wanting to come. Then she threw in how crazy it was that he wants to come because he hates beer. I told her again what we are doing, and how bored he was going to be with everyone drinking beers for several hours. but still insisted he wanted to come, and this was the first time in their relationship he really showed interest in going out. I told my brother about it, and he was like, well, that's the beauty about Uber. If he is too weird, I can just kindly depart somewhere else. That is exactly what I don't want. Everyone is looking forward to this, and I don't want him to make people feel awkward or uncomfortable. Would I be the asshole if I told her that I don't want my event to be used as practice for his trying to socialize in public? Again, I will reiterate. He says very offensive things, and I don't think will mesh well with the crowd going. Am I being insensitive? It's your celebration, not his coming out party. If someone who can make you feel this uncomfortable is a friend, maybe it's worth reconsidering the friendship. Your birthday party isn't an experiment for him to learn, so it's completely reasonable not to invite someone you're not comfortable with. Just be honest with your sister about your plans and reasons for not inviting her boyfriend. Would I be the antagonist for telling a couple they can't invite new people into our group anymore? I belong to a group of about 50 people who are friends and hang out regularly. All people are between their mid-30s to late 40s. It started as a fairly large group of college friends, and then grew to include significant others and new friends. We have a Discord for the group where people chat and set up get-togethers. There's about 10 people who regularly make dinner, concert, movie, party, etc. plans, and another half dozen or so who do it semi-regularly. I am not an original member of the group, though I've been around a long time, and I am one of the people who plans stuff a fair bit. A couple of years ago, my friend Zoe started inviting a couple she'd know a few years ago, Annie and Ash, to join us. We didn't know this until recently, but Zoe's wife Zelda wasn't wild about Annie, who has an over-the-top personality, and really doesn't like Ash, for reasons I'm still unclear on. It appears that part of why Zoe introduced the rest of us to Annie and Ash was so that she could go out and have fun with Annie and Ash, while Zelda would have plenty of other friends to hang out with. Personally, I like Ash a lot and get on with them pretty well, or I did. Annie can, to me, be loud to the point of obnoxious, so I stick to small doses of Annie. Since they became a part of our group, they've introduced 3 other couples into the group. All of them have sucked, each in a different way. One of the couples actually got us thrown out of a bar in a restaurant, 2 separate nights out, due to their fighting. None of us have ever been thrown out of a place, and we were all furious. After the last dinner disaster with couple #3, there were about a dozen people there total. Several of the people got on the Discord, angrily shared the situation, and then said that they don't want Annie and Ash inviting anybody else into our group. When this was suggested, everybody else in the group either agreed with that or said nothing about it. Nobody disagreed. I think even the people who would be way too non-confrontation to suggest that we're over all this recent drama. Additionally, unbeknownst to Ash and Annie, a couple of people started a private chat discussing if they even want Ash and Annie around anymore. I'm not in that group, but I heard about it from someone who is in it. Ash and Annie are super pissed and are basically questioning what kind of people we are because of what is going on. Zoe, the person who started inviting them to stuff, is 100% on board with them not inviting more people, and is feeling really embarrassed about her role in thinking they'd be cool people. So, would we be the assholes if we told Ash and Annie that they absolutely cannot invite any more of their other friends to join us? If that means they stop hanging out with us, it seems like everybody is fine with that too. We just don't want the drama anymore. This social Discord concept shouldn't be weird to people. It's a great way to interact with friends. People who've been invited into a group shouldn't be extending invites willy-nilly, especially if past invitees have been a bust. I would say no holes here. My wife cheated on me in the same way I cheated on her, 10 years later. 10 years ago, not long into marriage, we hit a rough patch. My spouse was stressed with work. Our sex life wasn't as exciting as it had been. I started to get cold feet, and even think I'd made a mistake in committing to her. I ended up seeking comfort in an online acquaintance I'd been talking to on a friendly basis, and things turned sexual. We were sexting every day for a while and using Skype while my spouse was working shifts. This came to a head when my spouse noticed Skype had been downloaded on the laptop, got curious and found the chat logs. She confronted me in the heat of the moment. I took the laptop off her and deleted everything because I didn't want her to be hurt by seeing all the details, the way I'd talked about her and my doubts about our marriage, let alone the cheating that had taken place. I did admit the cheating, which she had already gathered from what she had seen. It had only even been online, and we moved past it eventually. Fast forward 10 years. Life has been tough the last few years. The usual suspects: demands of kids, work, carrying responsibilities. My spouse expressed she was missing intimacy and wanted us to put more effort into our sex life. I was happy to hear this, but I'll admit that due to pressures it never really got off the ground in the way we'd discussed. Despite all good intentions, life just got in the way on my part. My spouse was paying a lot more attention to her phone, and something seemed off when I asked her about it. Long story short, I snooped on her phone when she was out of the room and found she had been sexting and exchanging pictures with an internet stranger. I was absolutely winded and confronted her with it. She immediately took the phone and deleted all the evidence, just like I did a decade ago. She admitted to the sexting and said it had been very recent, solely online, checks out from what I saw, and that it had arisen through sexual frustration. She said she still wants me and just wants to have more sex and intimacy in our marriage. I'm unexpectedly struggling so much with her response of deleting everything because it feels like she is hiding things, but she says she doesn't want me to be hurt by the details, which is hard to argue with given I did the exact same thing, and that was genuinely why. How do we move on from this? I know a lot of people will say any cheating is a red line, but based on what I saw, I do believe this was purely an online thing where she didn't even seem to know the guy's name. I don't think I can throw many years of marriage away over that, and my spouse has forgiven me the same before. But I am absolutely gutted and struggling to reconcile what has happened and what I saw with who I know my spouse to be. You both obviously enjoy sexting, so maybe try it with each other instead of seeking your comfort and thrills outside of your marriage. Make time for each other and see how she responds. You reconcile the same way she did, feeling everything she felt when you cheated. Match made in heaven if you both want the marriage. Figure it out. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.